The chandeliers flickered above, their dim glow casting long shadows over the dinner table. My fingers curled around the wine glass, my jaw locked tight. It was our 10th wedding anniversary, and the air was thick with tension. Something unspoken, something heavy. I noticed it first. The lipstick, bright red, a color Andrea never wore before. She sat at the head of the table, shoulders poised, eyes glittering with something I couldn't quite place yet. Her mother, Linda, sat beside her, watching me like a predator sizing up its prey. The whole family was here, mine and hers, packed into the dining room, making polite conversation, while the storm was brewing beneath their voices. Andrea shifted slightly, reaching for the napkins, adjusting them with a meticulousness that felt unnatural. I leaned closer, voice low. "It already looks perfect," I murmured, forcing a smile. She scoffed, her lips twisting. "You wouldn't know perfect if it slapped you in the face, Rob." A sharp sting, a warning I should have seen coming. Linda never wanted to keep her venom in. She took a slow sip of her wine and smirked. "Sometimes, dear, a woman just needs a little change to feel alive." I glanced at her, at Andrea's sudden satisfied expression, and my stomach twisted. And then it happened. Andrea rose to her feet, clinking her glass with the edge of her fork. A hush fell over the table, all eyes turning to her. She took a deep breath, smiling, but it wasn't the smile of a woman in love. It was the smile of a woman who had already made her choice. "I have an announcement," she said, her voice dripping with arrogance. I felt the first prick of unease. "I realized something," she continued, flicking a glance at me. "For years, I've felt trapped, stifled. I've given everything to this marriage, and yet," she exhaled dramatically, "I've been unfulfilled." Silence. I gripped the edge of the table, my pulse thumping in my ears. "Andrea, what?" "I want an open marriage." The words hit me like a gunshot. The room held its breath. My mother's hand trembled as she set down the cake knife. My father, usually a man of little reaction, choked on his drink. Linda beamed with approval. Andrea looked right at me, that red-lipped smirk cutting deep. "You owe me this, Rob," she said, "for the years of neglect, for ignoring my needs." A slow, sickening dread curled inside me. Linda clucked her tongue, shaking her head. "See, Rob, you did this to her." I stared at Andrea. "You're saying this now, on our anniversary, in front of our families?" She shrugged, unapologetic. "You ignored me for too long." My knuckles went white against the table. Andrea's sister Madison let out a low chuckle. "Well, this just got interesting." I pushed back my chair, the scrape of wood against tile cutting through the stunned silence. "You want a scene, Andrea?" "Congratulations," I said, my voice calm, too calm. "You've got it." And then I walked out. But as I stepped into the cold night air, something inside me snapped. This wasn't over. She wanted an open marriage? Fine. She was about to see just how open I could make it, and she would regret ever making me the fool. I drove through the city streets, my mind a storm of rage and humiliation. The audacity, the sheer cruelty of what Andrea had just done. A decade of marriage reduced to a public spectacle. She didn't just want an open marriage, she wanted to rip me apart, to make me watch as she paraded around with other men. She expected me to sit there and take it. She had no idea who she was dealing with. I pulled into a deserted parking lot, gripping the wheel so hard my knuckles ached. My breathing was shallow, uneven, my thoughts running circles. Linda, that woman had been poisoning Andrea's mind for years, always whispering in her ear, filling her with this idea that she was too good for me, that she deserved more. And Andrea? She'd swallowed it whole. I should have left the moment she started changing, when she began dressing differently, when her late nights got later, when the intimacy in our marriage started rotting from the inside. I was a fool, but not anymore. I pulled out my phone, scrolled through my contacts, and pressed the call button. It rang once, twice. Marcus speaking. My lawyer, my old friend. "I want out," I said, my voice like steel. A pause. "Rob, what happened?" I stared out at the dark horizon, my jaw locked tight. She just announced at our anniversary dinner that she wants an open marriage, in front of both our families. Marcus let out a low whistle. "That's brutal." "She humiliated me, Marcus. She wants to screw other men while keeping me around. And her mother. Jesus, her mother is treating it like some kind of twisted victory." "Damn," he muttered. "What do you want to do?" "I want a divorce." My voice was hard, unwavering. "And I want it fast." Another pause. "You sure you don't want to sit on this for a few days? Let the anger settle?" "There's no settling," I snapped. She's made her decision. Now I'm making mine. Marcus sighed. All right, I'll get the paperwork started. I hung up, shoving my phone back into my pocket. My heartbeat was pounding in my ears, a mixture of rage and something else. Satisfaction. She thought she could humiliate me. She thought she could cheat on me and get away with it. She had no idea what was coming. By morning, my anger had simmered into something sharper. Determination. I wasn't just going to leave. I was going to ruin her. I needed to know if she was already sleeping with someone. I wasn't stupid. This wasn't just a sudden realization on her part. She had someone lined up. So I did what any betrayed man would do. I hired a private investigator. His name was Cole. He was ruthless, discreet, and exactly the kind of guy I needed. After I laid everything out, he gave me a knowing look. You're right, he said. Women don't suddenly wake up and decide they want an open marriage. She's already got someone. I clenched my fists. Find out who. 3 days later, Cole sent me pictures. Andrea wrapped around another man, laughing, kissing, in our bed, our damn bed. The room around me blurred as my rage reached a boiling point. She'd been doing this before she even asked for an open marriage. The open marriage was just a way to legalize her affair. I wasn't going to let this slide. I could have confronted her immediately. I could have screamed, thrown things, demanded answers, but I wanted revenge, not an argument. So I played along. When Andrea texted me 2 days later, her words dripped with arrogance. I hope you're cooling off. I meant what I said, Rob. I'm not divorcing you. You need to be a man and accept this. I almost laughed. Accept this? You're right, I typed back. Maybe I overreacted. Let's talk tonight. She took the bait. That evening, I came home with a smile. Andrea was waiting for me in the living room, sipping wine, looking pleased with herself. Linda was there too, of course, because where would the snake be if not right beside its offspring? Well, Andrea said smugly, I hope you thought things through. I set my keys down, tilting my head. You know what, Andrea? You're right. I should be more open-minded. She blinked. Wait, what? I smiled. You want an open marriage, right? Then let's do it. Full transparency. I sat down across from her, watching her face pale. In fact, I think we should make things even. Since you're seeing other men, I pulled out my phone, smirking. I'll start seeing other women. Her jaw clenched. Linda's expression twisted into something ugly. That's not what she meant, she snapped. Oh no, I said, feigning innocence. I thought Andrea wanted freedom. Well, I do too. In fact, I've already made a few connections. Andrea's nostrils flared. You're not serious. Oh, I am. I leaned back. In fact, I think we should both bring our lovers home. You know, make it real. Her hands tightened around her wine glass. Linda slammed her hand on the table. You're just trying to punish her? I grinned. You mean like she humiliated me at our anniversary? Andrea's face was turning red. This isn't... Oh, but it is, I cut in. You want an open marriage, Andrea? Then let's have one. For the first time, doubt flickered across her face. Good. I was just getting started. From that day forward, I played her game, but I played it better. I stopped coming home early. I stopped checking in on her. I stopped giving her the reaction she wanted. Instead, I let her watch as I moved on without her. I made sure she saw me with other women, not in an obvious, sleazy way, but in a way that left no doubt. And she hated it. She started coming home earlier. She started trying to get my attention. She started realizing that she was losing control. And then the final blow came. One night, Cole sent me more photos. The man she had been cheating on me with, he was married. I made sure his wife found out. And when Andrea's lover's world collapsed, when his wife threw him out, Andrea came home crying. And I just smiled. Andrea came home late that night, her makeup streaked from crying. She looked at me like she expected sympathy, like she wanted me to ask her what was wrong. I didn't. I sat on the couch, casually scrolling through my phone. Rob, she said, her voice shaking. I took my time looking up. What? She swallowed, her red lipstick smudged, the same lipstick she'd worn when she made a fool out of me in front of both our families. He left me, she whispered. I raised an eyebrow. Oh? Her nostrils flared. You know who? I shrugged, acting as though I hadn't just destroyed her lover's life. His wife found out, she continued. She threw him out, took his kids. She called me a homewrecker. I let out a small chuckle. Well, Andrea, you are. Her face twisted with anger. You think this is funny? I leaned back, stretching my arms over the couch. I think it's hilarious, actually. She took a step forward, hands clenched into fists. Did you have something to do with this? I smirked. Why? You mad I played the game better than you? Her lips trembled. This wasn't supposed to happen like this. I stood up slowly, walking towards her until there was only an inch of space between us. And what exactly was supposed to happen, Andrea? My voice was cold. You thought you'd keep me while you played around? You thought I'd sit back and let you humiliate me? She opened her mouth, but I wasn't done. No, Andrea, that's not how this works. I tilted my head. You wanted an open marriage. Well, now you got one. Too bad the only man willing to sleep with you just lost his entire life. Her breathing was uneven now. I cut her off again. And I'm just getting started. She stared at me, eyes wide, like she was seeing me for the first time, like she was finally realizing she'd made a mistake. But it was too late for that. Andrea had always been proud, too proud to admit when she'd lost. So she did what narcissists do best. She tried to pretend everything was fine. She went out more, spent money she didn't have, took pictures with men she barely knew. And I made sure to drain every ounce of her resources. I froze her joint accounts. I moved my savings into an untouchable fund. I filed for divorce on my terms. One evening, she stormed into the house, slamming the door behind her. My credit card got declined, she snapped. I didn't even look up from my laptop. She marched over to me. Rob, I need access to the accounts. I finally glanced at her. What? She scoffed. Because I need money. I gave her a slow smile. For what? More hotel rooms with your boyfriends? Her jaw tightened. For rent. For bills. I leaned back, crossing my arms. Oh, you thought you could keep the house? The color drained from her face. What? We're divorcing, Andrea. That means we sell the house. Panic flickered in her eyes, but I stood up. You humiliated me, lied to me, cheated on me, and now you want me to let you keep living comfortably? I scoffed. No, that's not how this works. She clenched her fists, her whole body trembling. You're punishing me. I leaned in, my voice dropping to a whisper. No, Andrea. I'm teaching you a lesson. And just like that, the foundation of her life began to crack beneath her feet. Andrea was good at keeping secrets, but I was better at exposing them. With a few well-placed conversations, I made sure everyone knew the truth. Our neighbors, our mutual friends, even her colleagues. Word spread fast. By the end of the week, her boss called her into his office. She came home that night, throwing her purse across the room. I got fired, she hissed. I feigned surprise. Oh no, what happened? She glared. Don't play dumb, Rob. You spread rumors about me. I smiled. I didn't spread rumors, Andrea. I just told the truth. She was shaking now. You're ruining me. I took a step forward, towering over her. No, Andrea. You ruined yourself. She let out a shaky breath. You're a monster. I tilted my head. And what does that make you? She had no answer because for the first time, she couldn't justify what she'd done. It didn't take long for Andrea's life to fall apart. She lost her job, she maxed out her credit cards, and the men she'd entertained, they disappeared the moment she had nothing left to offer. One night she came to me crying. Rob, please, she whispered, hands trembling. I made a mistake. I stared at her, my expression unreadable. Which one? She let out a broken sob. All of it. I don't know what I was thinking. I was selfish. I was cruel. Yes, I offered. She nodded rapidly, tears streaming down her face. Please, I don't want to lose you. I watched her carefully. You already lost me, Andrea. She reached for my hand. We can fix this. We can start over. I laughed. You think I'd take you back? I shook my head. You're nothing to me now. Her face crumpled. I love you, she whispered. I leaned in, my voice cold as ice. And I despise you. And then I walked away, because her suffering had only just begun. Andrea had nothing left. She was drowning in debt. Her reputation was ruined. No job, no support, and no more men willing to entertain her drama. Linda tried to step in, of course. She always did. But I made sure to crush that too. I sent proof of Linda's involvement in her daughter's schemes to the homeowners association in her neighborhood, the kind of dirt that made people whisper. Suddenly, Linda wasn't the respected woman she thought she was. The invitations stopped. The friendly smiles disappeared. She called me, voice seething. You're a bastard. I smiled. I learned from the best. Click. She tried one last time to manipulate me. One night she showed up at my house. She was pale, hair disheveled. I'm pregnant, she whispered. I stared at her, then burst out laughing. Not possible. Her face paled. What do you mean? I took a step forward, towering over her. I had a vasectomy after Liz years ago. That baby isn't mine. Her lips parted in shock. I caught her in her final lie. She let out a sob, sinking to her knees. I don't know what to do, she whimpered. I leaned down, eyes locked onto hers. Figure it out. Then I shut the door in her face, and I never looked back. Andrea spiraled. She left town, running from the wreckage of her own making. She had the baby, but no one knew who the father was. Linda followed her, disappearing into obscurity. I never heard from them again, and I didn't care, because I won. Andrea didn't disappear quietly. For weeks, she sent messages, apologies, begging. Please, Rob, we can start over. I made mistakes, but I was lost. Don't let me suffer like this. I ignored every single one. Then she started showing up at my house. At first, it was pathetic. She'd knock, looking tired, like she hadn't slept in days. She'd ask for money, for a place to stay, for a second chance. Then it became desperate. She left voicemails crying, telling me she had no one left, that the men she thought cared about her had vanished. But that wasn't my problem. She made her bed. Now she could rot in it. Linda had spent her life protecting Andrea, enabling her worst behavior. But when Andrea lost everything, even Linda got tired of her. One day, I got a call from Linda, of all people. She's your wife, she spat. You should be helping her. I laughed. She stopped being my wife the moment she spread her legs for someone else. Linda's voice cracked. She's pregnant. I grinned. Not mine. Silence. Then the click of the call ending. Linda had finally given up on fixing Andrea's mess. Desperate people do desperate things. And Andrea, she tried to ruin me. She spread rumors, telling people I was abusive, that I had neglected her, that I drove her to cheat. She filed false claims in court, demanding more money, saying I left her with nothing. Nothing. But I had receipts. I had proof of her infidelity. I had witnesses who saw her parade men around like I was disposable. When the judge saw through her lies, she lost. And I made sure to let her see the smug grin on my face when she did. With no money, no house, and no friends left, Andrea spiraled. She tried to keep up the facade, pretending she was still the beautiful, desirable woman she used to be. But age caught up with her, and when the men disappeared, she broke. She tried reaching out to Liz, desperate for the one person who might still care. But even Liz had lost respect for her mother. I can't help you, Liz told her, voice hollow. You did this to yourself. And just like that, Andrea lost everything. I was at a restaurant one evening when I saw her. Andrea. She was sitting in the corner alone. Her once perfect hair was dull, her expensive clothes replaced with cheap fabric. She looked hollow, and when she saw me, her eyes filled with shame. She knew I had moved on. I had rebuilt my life. I was free, and she was nothing. She lowered her gaze, too embarrassed to even meet my eyes. I smiled, because I had won. The divorce was finalized. I kept my house. I kept my savings. I kept my dignity. Andrea was officially out of my life, and I felt lighter than I had in years. I started dating again, not to replace her, but to remind myself that love wasn't meant to be a prison, that not every woman was like Andrea. And for the first time in a long time, I was truly happy. One night, months after everything had settled, I got a message from Andrea. It was short. I hate you. I chuckled, deleted it, and never thought of her again. Life moved on. Andrea faded into the past. Just a bad memory of a lesson well learned. Linda, gone. Liz, still in my life. Me, I had peace, real peace, and I never looked back because I had done what Andrea never thought possible. I had destroyed her, and I didn't even have to lift a finger. She did it all by herself.